Hi, I'm Dr. Marcia Sirota, and today I want to talk about bad behavior on the part of people that we're in a relationship with, whether it's a friend or a romantic partner. Now, I've been receiving a lot of questions lately about how are people supposed to respond to bad behavior, and I'll give you some question examples. So one of the examples is, what do I do when somebody is very cold to me, and then they get hot, and then they get cold again, and then they get hot again? Another question is, what do I do if somebody is rude to me and then they act as though they hadn't been rude? And then another example of a question is, what do I do if somebody walks away and then comes back and wants to be with me? And how do I trust them? And another question I get is, why do people do this kind of behavior? Why do people do these things? Why is somebody hot and cold? Or why did they walk away and then come back? So I wanted to respond to all of these questions kind of as a whole, because it's important to understand some basic points. The first point is that we don't really need to understand why people are behaving in bad ways. They're behaving in bad ways, and that should be enough. We should respond to the behavior, not to the motivations underlying the behavior, because it doesn't really matter why they do it. Maybe they had some childhood difficulties, maybe they're just not a nice person. But it doesn't really matter, because what really matters is how they're treating us, how it affects us, and what we want out of our lives. So whether they're doing it for good reasons, bad reasons, or indifferent reasons, it doesn't matter. We need to stop worrying about why people do the things that they're doing that are hurtful to us, and we need to think more about how it is affecting us, how it makes us feel, and the impact it has on our lives. So if somebody's hot and then cold and then hot again, or if they walk away from us and then they're back and they want to be with us, we need to ask ourselves, how does this make me feel? Is this what I want out of my life? Does this make me happy? And if it's not good, then we don't have to worry about their motivations. We don't have to understand the underlying motivations between people's bad behavior. Now, as a therapist, of course, it's my job to explore the underlying motivations so that people can change. But when we're trying to figure out the motivations of people in our lives, it's because we're hoping to get them to change. But understanding their motivations won't necessarily make them change, because when people come to me in my office, they're motivated to change. They want to change. They've come for therapy because they really think that their behavior isn't working for them anymore and they want to do something different. Whereas the people in your life are not in a therapy session with you. They're just doing what they're doing, and they don't necessarily have any motivation to change. So for you, wanting to understand what they're doing won't help, because it won't necessarily get them to change. If you understand, oh, okay, they're doing this because they had a bad experience in the past. Well, how is that going to make them change? Your understanding of their motivations won't do anything to get them to change their behavior. Even if you confront them and say, I understand why you're doing this. You're doing this because you had a bad experience in the past. You confronting them and telling them that you understand won't get them to change. That's not how people change. People change if, number one, they're motivated to change. Number two, they get the right kind of help to change. And number three, they do the work, the inner work that takes a while, and then they can maybe change. Not everyone changes. Even with the motivation and the right help and the work, sometimes still people can't change because they're too deeply wounded, or they're too stuck, or they're too rigid. So even when people want to change, sometimes it's not possible. So wanting to get someone to change by understanding them, and even by confronting them with your understanding, won't necessarily get them to change. Now, we are unfortunately deluded by romantic comedies, which give us false ideas about how people can change. In romantic comedies, somebody understands the other person's reasons for behaving badly. They confront them with it. The person on the receiving end of the confrontation has a big aha moment, and then suddenly they change. Well, that's not psychologically possible. It's not how the psyche works. It doesn't work that way in real life. But romantic comedies give us this completely distorted view of what's possible psychologically. And so we think, oh, okay, if I understand why this friend or romantic partner is behaving so badly, and perhaps if I confront them about it, they'll change because I see it all the time in the movies, we're just going to get ourselves into trouble, because what's likely to happen is the person will feel like their boundaries have been violated. They'll feel uncomfortable. They'll feel like you're assaulting them or attacking them with your words, and it usually doesn't go well. So understanding why someone is behaving badly and especially confronting them when they haven't asked you for that insight. You're not their therapist, and saying, I understand why you're doing this, it's because of this, that might not go so well. So generally speaking, when people are behaving badly, and this is my next point, the best thing to do is to ascertain if this is someone you can talk to, you can have a healthy confrontation with, not by telling them what their motivations are, but by telling them how you feel about their behavior. And if you can do that, then you try that. And if you can't do that, then you just walk away. So I'm going to go back to the healthy confrontation. Healthy confrontation is not about saying, I know why you're doing this because of this. Healthy confrontation is making I statements, I feel, I need. So you say to the person, look, when you did this, it made me feel like that, and I need you to do the other thing, whatever it is. It's not about telling them that you understand their underlying motivations. You're not being their therapist. You're being a friend or a partner, and you're saying how their behavior makes you feel, your reaction, your responses, and that's enough. And then, of course, you tell them what you need, what you want. So, when you are hot and cold with me, it's very confusing and it's upsetting. And I want you to decide whether you're in or you're out, and you decide and then let me know. And if you're in, okay, then you have to be in. And if you're out, goodbye, and then we're done. And that's the way you do it. You don't start saying, I think you're hot and cold because, you had this childhood trauma where, you had this parent who was hot and cold and that's how you modeled. You don't do that. You're not their therapist. People don't take kindly to you analyzing them, okay, most of the time. It's not like the romantic comedy movies. So the best thing to do is see if you can confront and then watch their response. If they get defensive, if they get angry, if they tell you that it's none of your business, if they deny what you've said, if they minimize your feelings, if they tell you that you're overreacting, that you're too sensitive, well, then the confrontation has shown you that this is not a person that you can negotiate with in good faith, and it's best to walk away. However, if they are responsive, if they say, you know what, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be treating you this way, you deserve better, I'm going to make an effort to behave better toward you in the future, I'm glad you brought this to my attention, great. Then you see that this is someone that you can actually share your needs and feelings with, you're going to get a good response, and you're going to be able to proceed with a relationship, which is hopefully going to be better. Now, of course, if they keep doing the bad thing, it doesn't matter if they keep acknowledging your confrontation, because they're continuing to do the bad thing, at which point you need to walk away. Now, if they haven't responded well, you just walk away. Or if you think about this person and you consider talking to them, sharing how you feel, confronting them in that healthy, positive way where you make I statements and you express your needs and feelings, and if you think about it and you go, no, this person's just not going to be okay with it, they're just going to get mad or defensive, then just walk away. So instead of wondering why people do what they do, or trying to figure out their motivations, or thinking about, what should I do? What should I do? How should I respond? Don't respond. Just think about whether healthy confrontation is good or not. Try it or don't try it. And then if all else fails, walk away. It's not good to try to respond because there's nothing to respond to. When people behave badly, the only response is to make those I statements. I don't like this. This makes me feel bad. This is upsetting or confusing or distressing to me. And then see how they respond. If you feel it's safe and if you feel it's going to work. Otherwise, there's no appropriate response. And, a lot of people think, they have to play a game. If this person does this, then I have to do that. And it's some kind of a gamesmanship. But once you get into gamesmanship, all hope of meaningful connection and intimacy is lost. And when you're playing games with people, it's more like war. It's not love. It's a battle where it's a, one-upmanship where somebody's going to do something and then the other person's going to one-up them. So we don't want to get into this kind of adversarial dynamic with another person where they do X and then we do Y and then they respond and then we respond. That's not intimacy. That's not love. That's not connection. That's not going to be conducive to happiness. So really the only response is that I statement, that healthy confrontation. This is how I feel. This is what I need. If we feel it's safe and if we feel that there's a chance that they can respond appropriately. And then we try it if we do think it's the right thing to do. And then we wait and see about how they respond to us. And if they respond well, let's carry on. And if they respond poorly, then walk away. And if we don't think healthy confrontation is a possibility, then we just walk away, because getting into these sparring matches, these verbal sparring matches with people, these one-upmanships, these strategies of, how do I deal? That doesn't work. It's not conducive to intimacy, to connection, to meaningful relationship. It's just a battleground. And we don't want that in our personal lives. Life is hard enough. We don't want to be in a battle constantly with the people that we're supposed to be close to. I'm Dr. Marcia Sirota, talking about how we deal with people when they behave badly. And I'll be back soon with more videos. Stay tuned.